porque esa misma noche encontré un amor. No me hubieras dejado esa noche, porque esa misma noche encontré un amor. Parecía que estaba esperando tu momento de partir, parecía haber observado mis momentos junto a ti. No me hubieras dejado esa noche, porque esa misma noche encontré un amor. No me hubieras dejado esa noche, porque esa misma noche encontré un amor. Me abrazó el instante mismo que tú me dijiste adiós, y no fue una gran tristeza, fue como ir de menor a mayor. Tu regreso había esperado, mas te veía muy feliz. En los brazos de tu amada te olvidaste tú de mí. Mas ahora que recuerdas a mis brazos, vuelve ya. Seré por siempre tu amante, tu novia, la soledad. Si alguna vez regresas con aquella que te amó, sabes, no será lo mismo, pues también me conoció.
Frida Kahlo, Making Herself Up, explores how one of the most recognised and significant artists and women of the 20th century fashioned her own identity. This is the first exhibition outside of Mexico to display her clothes and intimate possessions, reuniting them with prominent self-portraits and an incredible range of photographs. Working in close collaboration with Museo Frida Kahlo and the Bank of Mexico, Frida Kahlo, Making Herself Up, brings together more than 200 of Kahlo's personal belongings from the Blue House, her lifelong home on the outskirts of Mexico City. Following Kahlo's death, they were sealed there by her husband Diego Rivera, the Mexican muralist. In 2004, 50 years later, Kahlo's outfits, jewellery, cosmetics, medicines and corsets were rediscovered alongside photographs, letters and diaries. And I would like to extend sincere thanks to Carlos Phillips, General Director of the Museo Frida Kahlo, and Director Hilda Trujillo and their team for facilitating this very special partnership that has brought these artefacts from Mexico to South Kensington. The magnetism of Kahlo's appearance reflects the passion that she still inspires today. But beyond this obsession with her image, much of her meticulously crafted identity remains unknown. Disability shaped Kahlo's life, contracting polio at a young age and suffering catastrophic injury from a bus crash at the age of 18. And she empowered herself through her art and dress. Frida Kahlo, Making Herself Up, draws together these deeply personal objects of self-authorship. Hand-painted medical corsets, a prosthetic leg decorated with a leather boot, her eyebrow pencil used to emphasize her signature monobrow, and the indigenous Mexican garments she used to embrace national identity.
London today is one of the most diverse cities in the world. It welcomes, absorbs and reinterprets influences from across the globe. And many Londoners define themselves by those influences, whilst feeling rooted in this city, in this place. To explore one's identity here in London is to be constantly engaged with the city's life, the people, the places that help define us. So it's great to celebrate the work of an exceptional individual who so powerfully explored her own identity and who gives a mandate to others to do the same. Her work holds a mirror up to society. She was politically charged, striking, original and unafraid to celebrate herself. She portrayed herself in ways that highlighted the communal rather than the self-obsessed, and we should draw inspiration from that.
What's really remarkable about this exhibition is that we know these clothes already from the photographs by Nicholas Morai, from the self-portraits, but here they finally are. And the material properties of these garments, the flecks of paint on them, the darns that Frida may have done herself, the way she brought everything together, in some ways acts as a model for the way we curate, the way we bring different things together, the way we go down every nook and cranny. I mean, every single article that was ever written about Frida, every photograph we've trawled, because we wanted to reflect in the best possible way this inspirational woman. And talking of inspirational people, I want to thank Matt Thornley and Tom Scott who are here. They did the most beautiful exhibition design at Filigree. And what I really like thinking about is the gallery that has the bed showcases in which are inspired by Frida's own bed hasn't changed from the very first day we saw it. Other things have moved around, but that gallery, which is the heart of the exhibition, and where we feel so moved by the pain Frida suffered, but the way she transcended it, remains very special.
This has been extraordinary, great experience. We all have learned so much. I can tell you we met Frida for the first time through her archive. We met her personally there, and we hope you all have the same experience, and we hope that same intimate experience we can give to the British audiences and international audiences here.
Frida Kahlo is important as an artist that has fought conventions and was someone that was very brave in the imagery that she used in her paintings, but also was very courageous in how she dressed and how she was someone that didn't follow the fashions of her time. She was very unique, and certainly we want to celebrate this figure, but also we want to do this through a mixture of fashion, of art, and bringing all of these objects that have never been displayed before in the UK. So it was a really timely exhibition. So the curator line, we didn't have the Blue House here, which is where Frida Kahlo was born and where she lived most of her life. And that was also the museum that most of the objects from this collection came. So we wanted to reimagine the Blue House, and the curatorial line has been through the work of Tom Scott and Gibson and Thorley Architects. They have been able to reimagine this Blue House. So you enter the space and you're bathed by this blue that reminds us of the Blue House, but also architectural details that resonate with that environment in which Frida Kahlo lived. So we've been working towards reimagining that space, and we're trying to get the visitors be in Mexico, as it were. I think the design will make the exhibition different, but what will especially make it different is the fact that we're combining paintings and fashion for the first time. So we've seen a lot of exhibitions that have paintings and self-portraits of Frida Kahlo, but this is the first time where we're showing her wardrobe and all of these personal possessions that have never been displayed outside of Mexico. We see connections between her artworks and her wardrobe, and I think this is what I was mentioning about the radical persona that she constructs, how she crafts her identity, an identity that makes reference to the Isthmus of Tehuantepec, which is a region in southern Mexico, a matriarchal society that she had a connection to because of her Mexican heritage. So she's making a political statement through her wardrobe, but also in her paintings, using a style of traditional popular paintings like the votive paintings in Mexico tradition. So we can see that both her art and her fashion or her dress choices are an affirmation of her Mexican identity and her heritage. So I think some of the most important pieces are in the gallery that's called Endurance, and this is the gallery that contains the medical artifacts and objects that are somehow show us the closeness to Frida Kahlo. There's a corset that what would have been applied to her as wet plaster corset, but which later she decorated and painted with different symbols like a hammer and sickle that show her political allegiance to communism, but also show an image of a fetus, showing her interest in anatomical models, but also the fact that she couldn't bear a child because of the accident that she had at the age of 18. So these are objects that show the tragic life of Frida, but also how she transcended it by making them into objects that were almost works of art, as it were, or an extension of her artwork. And the other object that I would mention is the prosthetic leg. Frida Kahlo's leg was amputated in 1953 as a result of gangrene, and yet this leg, she had a boot that was attached to it, which had bells and different Chinese motifs. So again, it's an object that speaks to the intimacy of her experience and that really brings us very close to her in this, and how she was able to challenge the adversity through those personal struggles and the physical impairments that she had. So already Frida Kahlo from a young age, she is flaunting her gender fluidity. She is dressing as a man, she wears a dress suit. We see that in some of the photographs in the first part of the exhibition, and she's definitely showing how radical she is in her choices of dress. And later she evolves to adopt this Tehuana costume, which is a Mexican popular form of dress from the Isthmus of Tehuantepec, and again that shows her Mexican roots and her allegiance to Mexican culture. So we see different dress choices too that speak of a really diverse and sometimes contradictory personality, and how that evolves from a young age to how she becomes such an iconic persona in the 1940s, as we see in the Mariah photographs in the show. I think Diego Rivera, rather than seeing it as an influence on Kahlo's art, I think Diego Rivera and her were a Mexican power couple that they shared political beliefs, and they also had commitment to Mexican culture. So I see them as being part of this whole circle of artists, intellectuals, writers that were really interested in reappraising the traditions of Mexico and going back to the roots, to pre-Columbian Mexico. They collect archaeological artifacts, they are interested in crafts, and very much they are an influence on each other. This is how I would see it. I think Frida was as much an influence on Diego as Diego was an influence on Frida.
Ya me canso de llorar y no amanece. Ya no sé si maldecirte o por ti rezar. Tengo miedo de buscarte y de encontrarte. Donde me aseguran mis amigos que te vas. Hay momentos en que quisiera mejor rajarme y arrancarme ya los clavos de mi penar. Pero mis ojos se mueren sin mirar tus ojos. Y mi cariño con la aurora te vuelve a esperar. Y agarraste por tu cuenta la parranda. Paloma negra, ¿dónde andará? Ya no juegues con mi honra parrandera. Si tus caricias han de ser mías, de nadie más. Y aunque te amo con locura, ya no vuelvas. Paloma negra, eres la reja de un penar. Quiero ser libre, vivir mi vida con quien yo quiera. Dios, dame fuerza, que me estoy muriendo por irla a buscar. Y agarraste por tu cuenta las parrandas.
I think what her paintings show is they show pain and they show struggle, but they also show how she uses painting as a kind of self-affirmation and a way of transcending that pain. We do have, for instance, one corset that she famously depicted in the painting, the broken column. So what this show is also able to do is to bring us even closer to her by showing some of the objects that were included in these paintings. I think color meant different things to her, and in her diary, which she kept between 1944 and 1954, so the last 10 years of her life, Frida gave an association or an emotion to different colors. So she would associate green with a particular emotion, blue with sadness. So I think colors definitely had a symbolic presence in her work and in the choices that she made for her costume. And we can really see that in the exhibition, not only in the dresses and in the objects that we're displaying, but also in how color is a big feature of the exhibition design as well.